Yes, tonight I am Katie Atchison, Executive Director of the Cape Cod Climate Change Collaborative. I'm here with Dina Howell, who is the Administrative Assistant for the Cape Cod Climate Change Collaborative. And we're really grateful to be able to welcome you all and to hear from our friends at MassEnergize on their wide array of offerings. I took a look at the slides. We've got a lot to go over. Really exciting. So Dina and I will be in the chat. If you have questions, we've also got a couple of poll questions. And as far as the Cape Cod Climate Change Collaborative, if you have any questions for Dina or I, feel free to put those in the chat as well. Or if you want to share your email, you need access to our bi-monthly newsletter, feel free. We can sign you up if you just share your email with us. And with that, I will hand it over to Megan Sullivan at MassEnergize and take it away, Megan. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It is a pleasure to be here. Again, I'm Megan Sullivan, and I am a volunteer and board member with MassEnergize. Most recently, I've been working on these products that support communities like our social media magic, which you'll be hearing about. And I would like to say that I came to MassEnergize via Sustainable Medfield because I decided that Medfield needed a sustainability group. So I looked around and found a couple friends and we said, okay, let's do it. And then all of a sudden we were running a Sustainable Medfield, which has been great fun. But right, I was just winging it out of my back pocket. And we were, having fun with it. But then I met MassEnergize, and all of a sudden I had colleagues. I had people across the state that were doing the same thing as me. I didn't have to start from scratch on everything. So that's really one of the hallmarks of the MassEnergize model. So I would like to let my colleagues, Nathan Scott, our executive director, and Ariha Jain, our community support and program specialist, introduce themselves. So Nathan.
Good afternoon, everybody. Nice to be here. I'm, as you can see on my screen, Nathan Scott. I'm the Executive Director of MassEnergize, and we're really pleased to have this opportunity to speak with you. So looking forward to an engaging conversation, and please know that we're very open to questions, and so that will certainly be hopefully a part of this presentation. Okay, Ariha.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Ariha Jain. I'm the Community and Program Support Specialist at MassEnergize, and I'm excited to be here with the Cape communities, towns here, and share about our amazing work at MassEnergize.
Excellent. Thank you. Shall we launch poll one just to get to know each other a little better? And if you wouldn't mind while we're also doing this, could you rename yourself if you'd like and just let us know what organization you're from, if you're willing. Okay, I know that Brian is driving, so we're not going to hear from Brian. Okay, if we end the poll, do we then everybody get to see the results?
Let's see what happens. Ready?
Excellent. So you're seeing the results, yes? So half of the people here are grassroots leaders like myself from Medfield and places on the Cape, and we have a municipal committee member, a staff member, and a couple of people from nonprofit organizations. Okay, welcome. Great to be here with you. I will now share my screen. Attempt to share my screen. Here we go. Yes, this one. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Excellent. Okay, I will present. Okay. Again, great to be here. We are helping to support local climate leadership to drive community action. The challenge is, right, we're all here because we believe that we need to take action and we need our community to do that. So I know the Cape has a climate action plan, and that is terrific. But in order to get this done, you are going to need, right, we're going to need funding as well as considerable sustained effort from towns, from your municipalities, businesses, as well as residents. And engaging your community and neighbor engagement are going to be essential part of your success. right, let me see. There we go. And progress happens at the local level. A lot of progress happens at the local level. I looked at the greenhouse gas inventory for the Cape, and I know that over 75% of the greenhouse gas inventory emissions on the Cape come from residential energy and transportation choices. So that is people's cars and how they drive, and then it's also how they are heating and cooling their buildings. So the picture here is of a kitchen table because a lot of those are called kitchen table decisions, right? Residents are making these decisions, and if you're going to attack the 75% that are driven by residents, you're going to have to engage them in order to be successful. And what we've learned from our research, or we've learned from research, is that neighbors influence neighbors, and trust is very local, right? If you see somebody doing solar panels, you are more likely to put them on your roof if you can talk to somebody who has actually just done that in your own community. So that's where MassEnergize comes in. We are helping climate leaders engage their residents and accelerate this climate action. Our founders, we're in a similar situation to myself. They were running organizations in their own communities, and they met each other and decided, gosh, why are we doing the same thing in every town when we shouldn't be starting from scratch? Could we do some collaboration and provide resources for people? And from that, MassEnergize, a nonprofit, was born. And so we've been working with towns and community organizations since 2019. This local climate work, right, is important, and it's hard, right? It's hard. Often, as we saw here, at least more than half the people on the call are volunteers, and you have limited time and capacity and also limited training, but the pressure to make impact is real, right? We'd all like to be engaging and driving greenhouse emissions down. Let's see. So our goal is to make your local climate action easier, not harder. And one of the big things we do is we share what works across communities, and we provide support and resources to make local leaders more impactful. So we do this in 3 ways. We train and support local climate leaders. We have tools and resources that help. And then we partner with municipalities to run community engagement programs. We're going to hear about each of those. Okay, now we'll have a little interactive moment, if you'd all indulge us. Before I get started on what we do, if you have go-to sources for information and training, you can add them to the chat. And I think we should all just start by putting on the Cape Cod Climate Change Collaborative as a great resource, which you are very lucky to have here on the Cape. So as you're doing that, and we're crowdsourcing some good ideas with your colleagues, I will move on to talk about our community and capacity building. One of the things we do is convene a peer network every month. We call it our community of practice. It's on Zoom. We alternate between having guest experts and then sharing information between communities. It's very nice. And even when we do have guest experts, we often end the meetings with, does anybody have any questions? What's going on? Learn about what outreach has been effective. You can see on the right-hand side, the community of practice topics that these are among the ones that we had this past year, whether it was about Google Analytics, what people were doing for Earth Day, heat pump incentives. We had Mass Save come, I think, 4 or 5 times to different meetings to talk about different elements of the program that started in 2025. So it's a great place for education. In addition, our website we have training resources and playbooks. Those are available on our website. We have a Facebook group for leaders so that if you have a question for your peers, you don't have to wait for a meeting. We can just pop it in there. We have a Slack channel, and we're very excited and very proud of the annual conference that we run. The conference this year, it's going to be on April 8th. It's at Bentley University. Everybody is welcome. It is a great day of learning and collaboration and meeting people like yourself. And it's a very also inspiring day. So that's been nice. We have a couple especially fun things this year. One is we're having a nonprofit resource fair and community resource fair at the end of the day. So you'll be able to stop and chat with organizations like the Green Energy Consumers Alliance and the Center for CET. Nathan, you can help me out. Who are they? I don't know. I know them. I don't know their acronym.
The Center for Ecotechnology.
For ecotechnology.
CET.
Thank you. Them, and we had Beyond Plastics there last year, and so it's a great place to connect. You will find that the day itself is very jam-packed, which is fun, and this was nice, great to have this resource hour at the end of the day. Something new this year we're doing is having deep dive workshop sessions the next day. For 3 hours each. They're planned for the morning of the 9th. One is on fundraising and another one is on digital outreach. So a little intensive training on Canva and a chance to be hands-on and then learn about some other tools. I'll mention a few of the breakout sessions. We have 14 breakout sessions in addition to our plenary sessions, but they include like detecting and combating misinformation, providing resources for local building electrification, where Mass Save will be speaking, along with Mass Housing, a session on geothermal, some projects that are in the works, starting a heat pump coach program, and even as much as using fiction and storytelling to drive climate action. So there's really something for everyone among our offerings. And here's a little link to the registration if you're interested. And just in general on our website, you can find out a lot of information about the conference. So that's the first thing we do, right? In support and train local leaders. The second thing is we provide tools and resources. And let's do our second survey. This one is about social media, just to get a sense for who's in the room.
And there are 2 questions for this.
See, well, we're going to share the results. I think we're good.
Okay.
What I'm seeing first thing at the bottom is that Facebook is the big winner in terms of outreach. LinkedIn is also popular. I would love to know more about the people who are posting on TikTok. That's great content to be driving engagement, especially with younger constituents. And then I do think that we have some people that would like more of a social media presence and some people who are doing quite well, posting on a consistent basis, posting events. That's great. So I will move on from there and talk about our tool, which we said it once out loud in a meeting, and now we can't stop saying it, but we called it social media magic once, and then now we have it. So through surveying, and perhaps here you would agree that we know that grassroots organizations and you as local climate leaders have limited time. It's to post on social media. Sometimes you might not be a social media expert. This might be a new tool for you, but you know it's important. And somebody described it to me today as a back burner task, right? You want to get to your social media. It's easy to do. Of course you could do it. Everybody can do it, but you have a lot of other things going on and it often ends up on the back burner and just doesn't happen. So we have some solutions that offer you professional outreach with a minimal effort. The first thing we do is connect you with Canva so that you have access to our ready-to-post graphics and captions, some templates, and the resources of Canva Pro, which if you're a nonprofit, you may already have, but if you aren't an official incorporated nonprofit, you probably don't have access to the Pro version, which the tools there can be very helpful. When I say we have templates to share, this is an example. of the folder system that we have. And you can see that we have a lot of different folders with posts inside. And as we create posts for social media, we are adding them here. But there's also some other content that has just been created for your use. One of them is the specialized building code. We worked with Zero Carbon MA to come up with 6 posts that if you were trying to pass this code in your community this year, you might find these posts helpful, right? Again, why have everybody start from scratch when we can provide this kind of content for you? So we're happy to have this library of resources. This is the one that is the most built out, which I think could be very helpful. When we do post, let me see. When we do post social media, we are generating these posts that you see on the left. We generate them for you. We put them in your workspace at least a week ahead of time. That allows you to review them. When you're reviewing them, you can customize them to your community. We have just given you neutral resources, a resource for the state, for example. So here you can see Boston Solar's coming to this one, clean energy. Here's Mass Save, online home assessments. If you wanted to drive somebody to your website or a particular resource, you could change it. So you can leave it as it is and it will post for you. You can go in and you can edit it and have it post on schedule, or you could have it, you can either unschedule it, say, gosh, this does not pertain to us. This is not our lane. I don't want this post. You could just defer it and then have it in your library to pick up when you want. So it's very flexible for your needs. In Medfield, I just let them go. I'm very happy to have the content. It's posted twice a week. And as you can see at the top, this one says Jewish Climate Action Network. When you post it, it looks like it came from you. You're not sharing a MassEnergize post. This is created on your website, so it looks like your content. And then what's nice too is then if you are engaging with it and you have some constituents also engaging with it, right? That's great. Add comments, have people like it, start a conversation, that sort of thing, excuse me. So on the right-hand side, you can see some topics that you have that we do. It's about 70% on energy and electrification and 30% on other topics, like you saw the one about starting to plant starting to grow your seeds for the spring, that sort of thing. So we think it's very helpful. You get a consistent online presence, again, twice a week, you have content that will be posted with a minimal effort. It's flexible that you can adjust it, and you have the chance to review it all, of course, in advance. And this is the impact that we saw in Medfield when we started Social Media Magic. Back down here, you can see we've increased, and this is between Facebook and Instagram, 84 followers over would that be 7 months? In 2025. So we're very happy about that, right? And now we've got 90% more impressions than we were getting, and more people are engaged. So very pleased with those results. And again, if we would like to pause and share with our colleagues any tips and tricks you have at this point for social media or website best practices, you can drop those in the chat and see if, to share with your colleagues. And now I would like to ask Ariha to talk to us about action-focused websites.
Great. Thanks, Megan. Let's chat about one of our core products and the foundation of our model at MassEnergize, which is a community website. So we provide a customizable white label website that can act as a central hub for your residents. We provide a clear, user-friendly interface where they can see exactly what they need to do to make an impact. So here's a list of what we offer. We offer ready-to-use action templates that can be filtered by cost, impact, and topic, which makes it simple for anyone to find their next step. So there are actions like drive an EV or schedule a no-cost home energy assessment, eat more plant-based meals, or switch to induction cooking, and more. So we have a library of these action templates with links and resources ready to use. Next, to build the trust of the community, we have integrated real-world testimonials directly into the platform. So it would help you, it would help the neighbors to learn from each other's successes. For example, if a resident had a rooftop solar installed recently, so they could share their experience on the platform and even mention the vendor for others to reference. Next, you also get a feature for the events page for all your local town activities, and you can have a page where you can post your own events, but you can also get to share events with other towns in your network. For example, if one of the community they are hosting a great heat pump webinar, so that webinar can also be shared across multiple community pages, so everyone benefits, and you also have the total control to pick exactly which events you want to feature on your website, and which you would like to share with other Mass Energized communities. Finally, we also have an integration that automates your outreach by sending bi-weekly or monthly event notifications. So, like a simple, hey, here's what's happening this month. So, which is a nice way to keep your community engaged without any extra admin work. Next slide, please. Here are some snapshots from our website, the homepage, testimonials, actions, and events webpage. So here's how our platform looks like in action. It gives residents a one-stop shop to take action, tracking progress, or finding local events and learning more about actions. Um, and in the homepage, you can see there are some buttons in the menu bar, a few pictures that can be a community specific or it can be relatable to your group. You can get 4 buttons or more at the bottom that can lead to direct actions or resources. Next slide, please. Here's a snapshot of one of the actions that we took from the Cooler Concord website. And you can see there's places to add links, resources where you want to send people. At the top, there's a title and a picture, the selection of a category, what kind of action it is, the impact it has, and the cost. Next slide, please. Here's a snapshot of the events page from Sustainable Medfield website. The 2 events you can see on the left are the local events in the Medfield platform, but the ones like the on the right 4, you can see they are shared. So they were shared by the other communities. If you want to populate more events on your website, it's a great feature to share events amongst communities. Next slide. Thank you. Let's start a little bit about the outreach programs we have at MassEnergize and how we partner with municipalities. So while our digital tools, they're powerful, but we know that sometimes tools alone aren't enough. And to truly move the needle, you often need the greater support and more hands-on capacity. So that's especially true when you are launching a brand new initiative or trying to reach a specific or hard to engage audience. And sometimes you just need that extra external motivation to get across the finish line. So at Mass Energize, we run comprehensive outreach programs. And in the slide, we can talk about our campaign model. So here's how we put that extra support into practice. We act as an extension of your team by providing specialized resources that might otherwise be out of reach for a local volunteer group or a busy municipal office. So we start by providing a dedicated campaign manager to help guide your strategy and taking the admin weight off your shoulders. We also provide with a campaign website where you can have engagement metrics tracked, and just a place to put all of your resources. Next slide, please. Thank you. These are the types of programs we lead, whether it's a large-scale electrification campaign or a project tailored to a specific target audience or a regional multi-town collaboration to adapt your goals. We have also experience in managing utility partnerships or working with MassSave. Next slide. Um, Here's one of the programs and the impact we created in 2025, the plugin. This truly has been a standout campaign. We had 7 communities coming together to push clean energy adoption. We held events and webinars over the year. Uh, we also helped coordinate messaging. We create a shared website. We had events that we were sharing across the towns. We sent out mailings, and we also that also helped us reach out to thousands of residents in these towns. And the biggest takeaway from the plugin a campaign was that it's all about making clean energy feel tangible, accessible, and relevant to the residents. And that we showed with our marketing. Next slide, please. Here's one of the another 2025 campaign. In this program, MassEnergize collaborated with the city of Newburyport, and we co-wrote the grant. We launched the Energy for Generations program. We secured funding through the EECBG DOER grant, and we had a specific goal. We wanted to target the older adults in Newburyport to bring the clean energy solutions. We focused on neighbor-to-neighbor support, and we trained 7 local volunteers as clean energy coaches, which helped us build the lasting capacity in Newburyport and created a program that will support the city for years to come. Additionally, an interesting part about this program was that we provided a $420 bonus incentive for the first 10 households to adopt heat pumps, which encouraged the adoption, stacking this on top of massive rebates and the federal tax credits we had last year. Next slide, please. Here's a 2025 programs overview, a snapshot of the programs across the state, from engaging seniors in Newburyport to youth in Framingham, and running a 7-town electrification campaign in Metro West. So these are some of the communities we served through programs. Next slide. And I will pass it on to Nathan.
Yeah, so thank you, everybody. I'm really hoping that you're getting the big picture. There's a lot to consume here, but as Megan started off by saying, these 3 areas that we are working in are digital tools, as well as the education and training that we provide, and then obviously the campaigns that Ariha has just talked about. So if you are interested in working with us, we would be very happy to talk with you further. And so our promise when we work with communities is really what you see here. We really want to help you drive climate action. And you can see all the ways in which we try to make your life easier and your work more effective. Because what we've learned just in the years we've been working is that many of you are just don't have the time, don't have the capacity, and often don't have the money to really drive these campaigns, or to really make your work as effective as you'd like. So that's what we see as our mission, is to really support you in these various ways. So what we've seen over the years of working with communities is that we really have been able to raise the engagement level of communities who work with us. We see more actions taken, and we see stronger local impact. And not to say that you couldn't do this without us, but again, the point is that we're really there to try to help and support you in these various ways. And one of the things that you get in working with us is you get the support of colleagues, and you also get our tracking of metrics, and so that helps to you in reporting, and we provide all of the metric tracking for you. So, and you can see in the next slide that there's lots and lots of communities across the state that we're working with, and we are each one of these communities we have a separate relationship with, and so really happy to broaden that portfolio and include communities on the Cape and communities associated with the Cape. So. Moving on, so there's various ways in which we offer our services. One is a kind of a membership model, and I won't go into detail right now here, but we can certainly talk about it. Anybody who's interested, I do have a slide later on. So we have 3 levels of membership. And it really kind of, it's really intended to be catering to your needs. So you may have a really well-developed program and you just need a light touch of support, or you may want kind of the full package of what we offer. So we have what we call the network membership, community connections, and the community empowerment. And again, we can get into details later, but happy to. We're trying to offer membership levels that fit your community. So another area that we, as Ariha just spoke about, is we do a lot of work with communities, not just offering tools and resources, but really partnering with you to do residential outreach. And so you can see that there's various ways, to organize, to design, develop, and implement a campaign. Takes time, takes effort. So we really help you all the way from start to finish. We really talk with communities who have an idea, and are just needing to kind of get some ideas out on the table to develop their scope. We work, as Ariha also mentioned, we help with grant writing. And that's something I'll talk about in a minute. But a lot of communities were like, well, we'd love to do something, but we don't have the funds. Well, we do. We don't have our own funds necessarily available, but we certainly have support. We have supported communities in successfully applying for grants and getting grants to do these campaigns. And then we help you with, engagement plans that are really customized for your community and for your goals in mind. We don't come in with kind of a one-size-fits-all at all. We really customize each and every campaign that we work in communities with. And then we obviously we monitor and support the implementation, coordination. And I think a big part is that communities often don't have good means to track metrics and then report out. And so that's something we really offer a great deal of support with. So just down here, you can see a little bit about the funding mechanisms. So as you know, we are a 501c3 organization, so we're eligible to receive nonprofit, or eligible to receive donations and offer nonprofit, status to the communities through our designation. And we are a pre-approved vendor by the DOER, which obviously, as you know, includes both the climate leader communities, and I'm sure many of you, or at least some of your communities, are climate leader communities, and I'm sure all the rest of your communities are green communities. So you may know that the DOER offers annual, twice a year, a grant cycle. And we have supported communities in applying for the competitive grants. And these are grants up to, there's $25,000 for the smaller communities and $50,000 for larger communities. And we are really happy to work with you to submit a grant that would allow you to do community outreach. And just a heads up, the next application deadline is April 10th of this year. And so there's a spring grant cycle and a fall grant cycle. So if any of you are interested, we'd be happy to talk with you about co-writing and submitting a grant for that April 10th deadline. So, okay, next. Yeah, so just, a little bit of the kind of testimonials of the communities we work with. I won't read these, but you can see that, we have been working over the years, developing relationships with local leaders. And, we'd be happy to kind of share with you a little bit more about what our local leaders and our collaborating communities have had to say about their experience with MassEnergize. So, okay, so we're just going to wrap it up. So thank you very much. I'll ask Megan to put on the next slide just a little bit about us. And you can see there's a QR code if you're interested in just kind of going to the MassEnergize website. But we'd love to open it up to questions at this point for either Megan or Ariha or myself, just to talk a little bit about any of the issues you're facing in your community and how we might be able to support you. So Maybe that's right. Maybe we'll stop sharing the screen, and anybody who has questions, we'd be very pleased to answer them.
Yeah, thank you all for MassEnergize for all of that information. I know we've got some groups here, some representatives from Cape groups, including Falmouth and the faith communities. So if you've got questions or ideas, folks, put them in the chat, and Dina and I will read them out. Or we've got an intimate group here, it turns out. So if anyone has any questions or ideas to get out there right now, that'd be great. Otherwise, I can also pause the recording and we can have a chat that way too. If anyone's feeling shy.
Looks like we do have a question in the chat from Mike.
Yeah, would there be any charges for the tools and resources MassEnergize would provide to the town?
So yes, I mean, as I said, we have some very affordable options for kind of a membership model. What we do, and Megan can speak a little bit more about this, but what we have is membership levels that really meet your budget and meet your needs. So Megan, do you want to say a little bit more about the membership levels that give people access to our support tools and resources?
I will. Yes, the network membership lets you join us in the community of practice, register at a discount for our conference, and enjoy our resources in our Facebook group. And then after that, we add the social media magic product to that. And then if you're interested in the website, we do that. And I will say that I put up the prices.
Okay.
I might as well. They're on our website. But we've priced it. So we are a nonprofit and we do get donations. And with that, we subsidize all of our products. So this is what we are charging at the moment. And we decide how much to charge based on the size of your community. So small is less than 5,000 households, medium 5 to 30,000, and then a large community would be more than 30,000 households. So the social media magic, which I hope you're all considering because it's awesome, is I think very reasonably priced. Large community be $1,000, medium and small. And then the website is basically double that if you also want the website.
So for an organization, say, that spans multiple municipalities, right? So for example, there's a group on the Cape that's the Faith Community Environmental Network that spans the entire region. How would you calculate that kind of a cost?
I think what I would say is I would like to think about that.
Yeah,
It perhaps isn't very different
Russ,
than
that was your answer. She's gonna think about it. I think
But-
because the network does span, is it the entire Cape and Islands, or is it primarily the Barnstable County? But either way, it's 15 or more municipalities, hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah, we're primarily on Cape. I think we have just under 50 participating communities. So, I mean, when I say communities, churches, synagogues, other faith communities. So that's just, you put all that together. It's a nice chunk of people. I'm not sure exactly how many.
Yeah, that's great. Well, we max out at over 30,000, so you're probably in luck. And I would say what's really going to drive that, if I would think about it, if like it's a single website, then it's just going to be that. If we're doing social media content and we're dropping it into, more than the 3 with each social media magic membership, you can have up to 3 channels like Facebook, Instagram, and maybe LinkedIn. If we were doing more than that, then I think that would drive the cost as well.
And I'll just add one quick thing, Russ. I mean, we'd really be happy to speak with you, in more detail. We do have there's a county in Vermont that has multiple townships as part of their county, and they have the MassEnergize program. And so we do have some experience working with a kind of a regional basis, not a wide, broad region, but kind of a more contained region. So we do have precedent for that and can speak to you about how it works for them and how they have been working to identify the needs from the various communities. So happy to have that conversation.
And we
Thank
also,
you.
the other precedent is JCAN, Jewish Climate
Mm.
Action Network. They're a regional group with some
Mhm.
synagogues. So I interrupted you, Martin.
I don't know if I'm on or not.
Yes, you are.
Yes.
Okay, so I noticed on your board with all of your current members, many of them seem to be municipalities or municipality related. So are the municipalities putting the monies up, or are these separate groups within those communities that are raising the funds for participating with you?
I I would say it's half and half. About half of our clients are supported by municipalities, and the other half are grassroots groups like the Sustainable Medfields.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody think the social media magic would be nice to have?
Of
Helpful?
course. Social media magic and a high school intern sounds like a pretty winning combination.
That would be good. That would be good.
I think the presentation was really thorough. I would invite anybody on the call tonight, if you have questions, to make sure you let us know. I'm gonna make sure I put my email in the chat. And I'm gonna put the Climate Collaborative in there.
Great to have Falcons.
I,
So
I guess I'll ask another question if I may.
sure.
Um, Number one, do you have, uh, you obviously have good success stories. Do you have data or information that you could share with our group to persuade our municipality that this would be a worthwhile investment? And then the second question is, do you have tips on how to access data relative to municipalities, the homeowners, what they're doing as far as their current heating systems, how many have had energy assessments, how many have had uh, action on energy assessments? Is there any sources of data that you can share for this kind of information?
We are working on our 2025 impact report. So that's a work in progress, but yes, we'd like to share our success stories. And with regard to data, what has been nice is, are you familiar with Xana Cranmer? Did she work with you guys at all?
Not familiar with her.
I'm going to take 1 second and find her tool just to share it with you. Let me see.
Martin, if you're on the Cape, that might be something that the commission or Cape Light Compact would have available. Helena's on from the Cape Cod Commission. I don't know if she's there that she can
Yes, I'm
offer
from
that.
Orleans.
Orleans, yeah. So the town of Orleans, the commission or Cape Light Compact might have some data.
Okay.
All right. We have a new, it's a new tool, right? We start sharing. Zoom, share. I don't know if this answer will answer your question completely. When everybody did their greenhouse gas inventory, right, and get your emissions, a lot of data was collected there. But there's a new tool that's available to everybody, the Mass Carbon Goals Tracker. And this tool lets you look at your community and see what has been done. So as good as the state data is, it is gathered here. All right, let me just type this. ORLEANS. There you are. It's all the cities. And now here are the consumer level adoption in Orleans.
Oh, wonderful.
I'll also add to this is Helene from the Cape Cod Commission.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt. Hi, Martin, sorry. The Cape Cod Commission partnered with the town of Orleans to develop a municipal greenhouse gas emissions inventory for the town. And I'm not 100% sure where that project stands, but I think it was pretty near completion the last time I was updated on it. The people in your town to contact to learn about that would be Mark Reel and then Kim Grant.
Okay.
And if you want, I can throw my email in the chat so you can follow up with me if you want me to kind of write that down in an email for you. But we did a pretty good emissions inventory for them, I believe, a couple months ago.
Very good. Thank you. I know of both of those people.
And sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say this is a new a new snapshot based on the data that's available in terms of where your emissions are in 2023 that could complement the other information that Helene was referring to.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Some of the data is a couple years behind. It's only the data gathered is only as good as the data available, and some of it is older. But
and so on the Cape in particular, and we're talking a lot about some towns in the chat like Orleans and Falmouth. There are absolutely opportunities for multiple smaller groups to coordinate, right? As far as joining MassEnergize as a coalition. Because like you said, there are counties and there are different sort of collectives. So for example, like in David's case where it's 12 volunteers with no budget, no 501(c)(3) status, there may be other organizations within the town of Falmouth, for example, that could collaborate together to bring, as long as the work you're doing, David, is in parallel with them and support, you're all on the same page, right? Then MassEnergize might even be able to, get you in the same paragraph at least. Like, keep that metaphor going, right? And a lot of the towns on the Cape have either recycling or climate action groups or through the faith communities. And the commission is working in every town as well. And so we have a lot of really great resources to help us make decisions about what direction we're going in and what products or what avenues through MassEnergize might be most useful at whatever stages we're at. So it's an interesting sort of part of the reason why the Climate Collaborative wanted to bring MassEnergize in is because we do have a few groups that have from the Cape Cod Climate Collaborative been born and then have spread their wings and been thrown out of the nest, right, Russ? So it's really helpful to, really helpful for us to try to support at least by making these kinds of support systems, to highlight them, and to bring folks like MassEnergize to the Cape to collaborate with organizations like the Commission and Cape Light Compact in particular that have all these resources, but that we're not all checking every single person, every different site, or we're not all scrolling through every single social media platform. And so a group like MassEnergize might be able to help us funnel some of that together.
Just a question about the usefulness of this information. I'm only the co-chair of FCEN. The other co-chair, Susan Starkey, would, I think, love to look at this information. Will I be able to access the recording after this is over?
We will make sure to send you a copy of the recording and probably a post-event survey I think Megan was working on. So with our contact information too, Russ. So if you wanted to organize with Susan, for example, to meet with anyone from MassEnergize, you can make that happen too.
Oh,
Sure.
great.
More specific, figure it out kind of conversation.
Yeah. Okay.
Look how easy it was for me to give all that work to them.
We welcome the work. We love our work and love to engage with the community, so it's awesome. You can tell we love it, right?
I know you love it. Any other questions or ideas, comments?
Katie, thank you for hosting.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank you
Katie,
for
thank you for
showing up.
hosting.
And
Yeah.
MassEnergize folks, thank you for being with us tonight.
And please feel free to follow up with us. Like I said, we will share the recording out. And if you have any comments, questions, if you want to meet with anyone from the teams that are hosting here, just reach out and absolutely we'll get together with you in a smaller setting so that we can prioritize some of your needs and questions. And thanks for joining us, Helene, as well from the Cape Cod Commission. We appreciate you.